Hey there, this is Dara, Connolly, your fearless confidence coach who helps you speak up to be heard, kick fear to the curb, and be TEDx confident. In this quick video tip, I'm going to take you through the common phrases of a gaslighter so you can determine if this is the relationship that you're in and how to handle them. Now, before we get started, be sure to go over and click that subscribe button and hit the bell so you're notified when I publish new content. And then head on over to Instagram where you can follow me there because I post different content there. And if you haven't yet grabbed my free confidence tips, please do so now by clicking the link below. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the 8 common phrases that a gaslighter will say. Now, just to define this, gaslighting is emotional abuse, and it's a way to disregard your feelings. And sometimes we may do this unintentionally. You know, as a mom, I'll watch it when my kids were little. They may be riding their bike for the first time and they fall and they skin their knee, and I'll run over because they see the tears and you know they're so upset. And my first reaction is to say, "Oh, honey, it's okay. You're going to be okay. It didn't hurt that. It didn't look like that bad of a fall. You'll get up. You'll be okay." And so what happens is we teach the poor child that don't listen to your feelings of, "Oh, ouchie, this hurts." It's disregarding our feelings. Or maybe you're at work and you're working on a project and you feel really overwhelmed. You're struggling at it. It's really hard for you. And your coworker says to you, "Oh, come on, I did that in 2 hours. That wasn't that hard." And so then it dismisses your feelings of what you're going through. Now, this is not bad gaslighting. I mean, it's bad in a way of it's not helpful, but it's not intentional. But there are some people who do this in an intentional way, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And usually when we are in a relationship with someone who's gaslighting us, we experience 3 phases. And so the first is the disbelief phase, where we start to think, you didn't really say that to me, did you? You start to question yourself, or you think, did I hear that right? And then you move into the second phase, which is you start to defend the person because your family or friends may say, "I don't like the way that person's treating you." "Oh, no. They're okay. They're really a nice person. I don't think you heard that right. I think you're misreading that." And then it could go into the third phase, which is depression, because you realize this is an abusive relationship and it's not healthy, and it eats away slowly at your self-esteem. And you start to question everything about yourself and you lose your sense of reality. Now, these phases tend to overlap and you may be in one of these phases. So let's get through what are the common phrases, because I know this may be an area you're struggling with. And if it is, pay attention because this is very important. And then at the end of the video, I'll show you how to get out of these situations. So a gaslighter tends to say things that make you distrust your own emotions. And it can be something like, you're in an argument and they say, "Oh, you're so sensitive. You always make a big deal out of everything." And then you start to question yourself, "Yeah, am I really too sensitive?" God, they say this a lot. This is a problem because if you are sensitive or not is irrelevant, but the person that's calling you this is now getting you to question your own sense of self. Another common phrase they may say is, "I never said that." They tend to have very selective memory. "I never said that." Or if you say something, they're like, "You never said that." And so again, you start questioning, did I say that? Did they say that? Am I remembering this wrong? Is my recollection wrong? Am I going into a phase of life where I start to forget things? They're slowly getting you to get confused. Think of it like the magician who's throwing smoke and mirrors at you. It's a tactic to throw you off balance and confuse you. That's what they're trying to do. Another common phrase is, "I'm not angry." You see them getting angry. Their face is red. They may hit things or break things or raising their voice. They're shouting at you, but it's, "I'm not angry." Well, this again, they're in denial of their emotions because you know when someone's acting in an abusive way and is yelling in a very upset manner, and they clearly are showing signs of anger. Just saying, "I'm not angry," doesn't take away the anger. And again, that's not okay. You shouldn't be in a relationship where someone's yelling at you. That's abuse. That is verbal abuse. Or they tend to blame things on you. Maybe they're in trouble for cheating because they were caught. And what do they say? "It's all your fault. If you were more loving in this relationship, I wouldn't have had to stray." That's changing it around a little bit here, and that's not okay. So remember, this is a very emotional tactic that they're doing, and we want to not take it in. We do not want to respond to the emotional drama that they're throwing at us. We're not going to take the bait. And we're going to handle this in a very tactile way. Another phrase they will often say is, oh, you always get confused by things. You have a problem with this. You don't remember things. A lot of people say this about you. That's why your jobs didn't work out. Again, they're trying to pull you away from your sense of reality of what you know is true. And you have to take a step back and say, that's not true. My friends like me, I'm very successful at my work. Is what this person's saying really true? You may even heard things like, no one's going to love you. You're lucky to have me. Not if they're not treating you well. That's not luck in anything. That's a horrible situation and you don't want to be with this person. The last phrase I'll give you is they may say little things constantly, like it's like imagine death by 1,000 cuts, right? They're just constantly wearing you down. You're a pretty girl, but you have anger issues. Whew. It's like this backwards compliment, right? There's like a compliment, but then there's this dig afterwards. And you make a joke, or they make a joke, and it's an inappropriate joke. And then they're like, well, why are you making a big deal of this? This is funny. You were laughing before. And so you tend to get stuck because you don't know how to respond. Here's a few more. I'll give you some bonus ones. You may hear them say this literally, you can't take a joke, but the joke is always at your expense. That's not okay. Remember, a good comedian can laugh at themselves. If the joke is always at your expense, making fun of you, the way you look, your appearance, the way you talk, something you do around the house, that's not funny. That's abuse. They can accuse you of being jealous. They're always looking at your phone and wondering, who are you texting? Who are you talking to? Trying to listen to your conversations. They're very jealous. Why is that? Well, chances are they're the person who's doing something that's not trustworthy. And the last one for extra bonus is they'll say, if you really love me, you would let me do this. Again, confusing what real love is. And then you start to question yourself. And this starts to, over time, really diminish our self-esteem and our self-worth because we don't even know what's right anymore. We don't know what's real anymore because this person's so busy pulling us down from reality. So how do you handle this? Number one is to disengage. If you have a gaslighter, and it's important, that's why I spent the time to go through these tips, all the common phrases they say to really identify, is it gaslighting? And if it is, you want to disengage with them because this person is feeding off your emotion. If you can walk out of the room with no response, then do it. If you can leave the relationship safely and you know they're not going to harm you, then do it. This is the type of person you want to run from, not walk, because they are unlikely to change. If you need to speak up to them, because maybe it's a work situation or a relationship that you know you need to have with a family member you see all the time or something, use very short, non-emotional phrases. They say to you whatever they say. If you really loved me, you would say, blah. That's really hurtful. 3 words, that's it. Or that's not helpful. I want you to be very precise on the language you use and use short, direct, non-emotional words, and then stop talking and walk out of the room. If you are in a situation where you're noticing this is happening by email, text, you have this when you go home because the partner does this to you, then start collecting evidence of it. Save the email, save the text, maybe even record some of the incidents. So you have a proof that you can use if you need to in a court of law that will help you down the road. Remember, gaslighters are unlikely to change, so I want you to be very careful of keeping yourself safe. And I know that it could be a serious situation. So please reach out to me if you need a little bit more help setting boundaries in relationships, being assertive. Boundaries are not a bad thing. Boundaries create balance and they give you security and safety in your relationships. And if the other person is not respecting your boundaries, then it's time to move on. And it's important to know how to move on in a safe way. So take this seriously if you're in a relationship with a gaslighter. Now I want to hear from you. Go ahead and post a comment or share this with someone who needs to hear this. And feel free to jump on a call with me if you're ready to learn more tips of how to handle these situations. Until then, you are amazing.